Welcome back. So now we're going to talk about kind of in a very broad sense, what does a business angel investment process look like? So the first thing that's going to happen is the deal origination. They've got to find an entrepreneur that they're going to invest with or work with. Now we've already talked about the dinner model and some of this dinner club model and some of that stuff. But let's say, we're speaking separately from that, usually looking at a single solitary business angel, the stereotype that you normally think about. So where are they going to get the origination of these deals, right? Well, a lot of it's going to come from friends and associates who have heard about something that you may be doing. And so these referrals are really, really important. If a business angel's associate or friend who they trust says, I know this one entrepreneur, he or she has a great idea, you should check it out. That referral automatically gives you a little bit of a boost in trust, right? Now, on occasion, the accountants for these particular business angels, because people that have large accounting firms work with lots of different kinds of businesses, those accountants may know somebody like one of their clients and say, hey, I've been doing the books for this one guy. I think you need to talk to him. I think there's something good here. So that also happens. Less so from like lawyers and bankers. Let's say it didn't happen, but less so. Okay? So that's where they start finding the entrepreneurs themselves. And they're going to do an initial screening. And they're going to ask two fundamental questions. The first question of this is, do I know anything about this product, this service, or this industry? The answer is no, they'll probably move on. And I'll give a good example. Now, this was not a business angel, this was with a venture capital group, but nonetheless, I think it illustrates the point. I used to consult for an incubator in downtown LA, and they had an event, and they brought one of the founders of a venture capital group, and it had been the one that had funded Hulu early on. And everybody had the opportunity to give a pitch. And, again, this guy knew technology. That was his specialty. So people were talking about like trucking and agriculture and all sorts of stuff that had nothing to do with tech. And the guy was really nice and really gracious, actually. I was really impressed. He was very patient. Sometimes those guys on Shark Tanks, they can be like real jerks. This was completely not him. And he said, look, it sounds good based on what you're telling me, but I'm not competent enough to evaluate what you're doing, and therefore I'm not going to be able to invest in it. You should call this other guy or this other lady, and they can give you some more help. So they need to know something about what you're doing, right? Now, and that goes back to making sure that you pick the right kinds of business angels to give your pitch to. But again, we're assuming that the business angel has found you through a referral. Okay? So this is, do I know anything about that? Okay, yes or no? If the answer is no, we stop right there. If they say, okay, I know something about this industry, I know something about this market, I know something, okay? Then the second question they're going to ask is, can I contribute anything to it? Is there anything that I can contribute to this? So let's say the business angel has enough money to take you to the next level, right? Okay, so I can contribute something. And when I say can I contribute, there's an important caveat that I need to mention. You have to remember, most business angels are going to be funding you at the seed stage. Sometimes they call this Series A. So it's going to be very early on in the process. Maybe your venture is already too far developed and that the angel doesn't feel that their investment would contribute exactly what you need. Again, you're thinking about like $10,000 to $500,000 investments. Maybe your firm needs $1.5 million to take to the next level. They may not be able to contribute that. Or it could be that you've got your team together and everything's looking pretty good. There's just nowhere for them to be a part of that. And so then the answer would also be no. So do I know anything about this? Is there anything that I can contribute? And another thing that will scare business angels off, if you've already been working with venture capital groups and you already have investments with venture capital groups. The problem is business angels, and this is another reason business angels like to invest early on, because once you start getting the venture capital groups in, especially with these non-dilutable shares and these other arrangements, the business angel's investment can quickly get muscled out. So that's also not good. They may also be thinking about, and again, I'll talk a little more about this later, but a business angel is hoping normally that they can cash out pretty early on. They hope, right? Now, some of them are going to be more patient, but they're hoping that your company gets big enough that maybe a large tech company or a large organization will buy your company, and that's kind of the moment that they'll cash out. So they're also thinking, okay, can I grow this firm to be in such a way that it's appealing to a buyer, and then I can cash out at that point? So they're thinking about that stuff. Okay? So that's the whole deal evaluation part. There's also an additional thing that they're going to be looking at, right? So they call these compensatory versus non-compensatory factors, right? So some business angels will say something like, okay, you know, maybe their finances aren't quite what I'm comfortable with, but I love the idea, I really like the entrepreneur, and therefore I'm willing to kind of overlook some of the financials, right? And a lot of business angels are willing to kind of overlook certain things in the financials. Why? Because let's face it, we can all like tweak numbers to tell a certain story. I don't want to say we're lying with numbers exactly, but we can tweak things and change them in such a way to tell a certain message. So they always take the financials with a grain of salt. Or maybe there's like something that's not quite right, but they like everything else. That's what we mean by compensatory factors. Now, there's also some non-compensatory factors. You know, you've got to remember that the business angel is going to be working a lot with you. And so certain things, like if they don't trust you, for example, or they think you've got poor management, or you don't come across as a mature individual, that would probably be a non-compensatory factor. You may be a brilliant inventor, but if you act like a complete idiot, and you know, that's just not going to fly. There's no way you can kind of compensate for that. So that's kind of the difference between these compensatory and non-compensatory factors. A lot of business angels also have like a 3 strikes and you're out rule for that initial screening. So if there's like 3 things that don't quite match, then they stop there. Okay. After the initial screening, then they're going to start doing their due diligence. Maybe they have their own lawyers or accountants that's going to kind of start looking at stuff. They'll do some of their own market research. They'll probably go through your business plan in quite a bit of detail. You may be invited for, it may be a formalized pitch, it may be coffee or and dinner. You know, it could be a variety of things where they're going to get to kind of know you. Okay. Thinking about some things that'll get you pitched out for the post-initial screening. And by at this point, you've done okay. But usually now, if there's one thing that's off, they throw you out, right? Everything's got to be pretty close to perfect, or at least very easily fixable in their mind. Okay. So look at some things that'll throw you out. Of course, again, I mentioned the poor management. They're going to be basing a lot of stuff on their gut feeling, like, is this somebody that I can work with? Do I trust this person? Would I like to work with this person, right? There's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff in the post-initial screening piece. The other thing is, if you don't seem to understand the financials, or you don't understand that what you're trying to launch is a business, that can also get you kicked out as well. And if you come across as dishonest, unethical, or unreliable in any way, that'll also get you kicked out really quickly, right? So that post-initial screening is they're really going to put you under a magnifying glass so that you know that you're going to be evaluated at all times. Okay. So this is kind of the business angel investment process. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, if you do, give me a like. That's a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and comment down below. I'll see you in the next video.